It's long been known the advantages of no-tilling, but Henry Falk of Effingham, Kansas has put a new spin on the no-till industry by inventing a spading-type 5-point disc blade that in his judgment is just as efficient, not to mention more cost-effective, than other vertical tillage tools that are on the market today. So where did this idea come from? Falk has farmed near Effingham his whole life and has been no-till farming since the early 1970s. But shortly after the turn of the century, he was introduced to vertical tillage, but he wasn't sold on the machines that were on the market at that time. So he started with one simple goal. He wanted to find a way to mix more soil with the residue and also do some leveling of the ground.
So I started experimenting with disc blades. I took different sizes of blades, different concavities, and I cut them in different shapes. And the one that I like best is this blade right here. What I like about the blades is between the blades and between the points, I've still got no-till soil.
Henry experimented with the blades on only a few acres the first year, and he admits he was skeptical as to what the results would be. In the spring, however, the fields looked very good, and so he used the blades on a few more acres in year 2. By year 3, he was using the blades on all of his corn and bean fields as soon after harvest as possible. Most vertical tillage machines are equipped with round fluted blades, which can damage soil structure and take more power to pull. Falk's rolling spader blade is essentially the shape of a pentagon. 82% of the outside cutting edge of the original round plain blade has been removed, meaning only 18% of the surface is being tilled.
These blades must be mounted on a square axle like this so that it'll wind up with a spiral. That eliminates vibration, and you can pull this machine at any speed to do a good job.
As you can see in these photos, the disc blades are mounted just as Henry said, in a staggered spiral fashion, which means they will not be in the ground at the same time. This is different than the round fluted type blades, and as a result, the machine is much easier to pull. So you've learned about the history of the blade, the concept of how the blade should work. Now, what about the results? Well, I'll leave that one up to the inventor himself and let him show you.
We like to run it in the bean stubble just deep enough to tickle and just get a little dirt up into the residue without destroying the whole soil structure. What we have here is a 12.8 mile an hour. My son said he was running, Stephen. Over here we're running about 3 miles an hour. I like to run about 5, 6, 7 mile an hour is a good speed where I run. When we look at the residue, we got a little bit of soil mixed with the residue laying on top of it. And when we rake the residue off, then we have loose soil that does the leveling of the field. And if we take a lot of that loose soil off with all the residue, what we have is little concavities made by the blades. And what that does then is helps hold water, percolates water down in the ground a little faster. And what we've got is a lot of soil surface that has not been disturbed. That's where all the microbes are, they tell me, and that's what will help decompose the residue. So we haven't destroyed that soil structure on top. We've taken a little bit of loose of that dirt and leveled the field, and we've mixed some of it in with the residue and put it on top of it to keep it from washing and blowing away.
So there's the bean stubble. Now we'll move over to the corn stalks, where Henry's son Stephen has run the blade just a little deeper and at a couple different speeds.
We're throwing soil onto the residue, like right here. We got some soil laying there, laying right there. It helps to decompose that. There's a little bit right there, it just helps decompose it. We like to see it where it keeps it from eroding and also from blowing away and washing away. When we move the residue that we've left on top, then we get down to like in the soybean stubbles where we have the loose dirt that does the leveling. This loose dirt that's moving around, that helps level the ground. Also, we got the concavities underneath where we haven't destroyed all that soil structure. We rake that loose dirt away, or we come up with them pockets, and we're running deeper in the corn stalks. I like to run a little deeper in the corn stalks to get a little more dirt up on the residue. And what we have here's some soil that hasn't been disturbed. We'll rake the rest of this away. So there are some more pockets where it hasn't been disturbed. That's what we're looking for, to level the fields, keep the residue on top, and mix a little with it to decompose it quicker.
Falk says that you can choose the speed to run your machine, and the results will not change much, with the main difference being the faster you go, the more dirt it will throw on top of the residue.
Okay, what we have here is in the corn stalks where I ran 7 miles an hour. And in 7 miles an hour, these pockets are probably going in, well, you can see there, that might be a couple inches. Maybe less in places. It depends on the lay of the field. But we've got so much soil surface here that hasn't been disturbed. So we've got the microbes there ready to go to work on the residue. We've got the loose dirt that we've tore up to level the field. And then over here on the residue, we've got the soil thrown up on the residue to help keep it from washing and also from blowing away.
Now let's fast forward to the springtime and take a look at a few different fields after the crops have come up.
This corn was planted in soybean stubbles this spring after we ran the spader last fall, just as shallow as we could run it, just enough to mix the residue and the soil together and made it nicer to no-till into this spring. This is a field of corn on corn. It works very well as long as we manage the residue in the fall with a spader machine. Last fall we ran the spader over these corn stalks shortly behind the combine, when the juices and the sugars were still in the stalks, and the stalks still had a little bit of a green cast to them. We ran the spader just deep enough to mix soil with the residues to help keep it from washing and blowing. And Mother Nature through the winter healed up the concavities made by the spader blade and decomposed a lot of the residue, as you can tell. This field of soybeans was planted into a cover crop of cereal rye. Last fall we broadcast the rye with a dry fertilizer spreader, and then we hit it with the spader. It worked very well of getting a good stand of rye, as you can tell.
For more information on the rolling spader disc blade, contact Henry Falk at Vertical Till Farms, LLC. The address there is 2079 Edwards Road, Effingham, Kansas 66023. You can also call Henry at 913-370-0502.